104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. We are going out to our man in Cleveland, Justin Lada. He works for the Lake County Sentinel, also burning over baseball. Justin, what was it? What was the key factor? Why was Cleveland able to sweep the Boston Red Sox?
I don't think you can point at one thing. I think it was just several different things. They outpitched them. They outmanaged them. They got timely hits. I mean, the Red Sox didn't score multiple runs in any inning this entire series, So the best offense in baseball has scored 800 runs and scored 100 more runs than the Indians, who were the second best offense in the league. You can't point to one thing, but I guess if you can point to they just made the right moves at the right time. I mean, Chisholm hits a home run off of David Price in Game 2. That was only his first home run off a left-hander all season. Roberto Perez hits a solo home run in Game 1. Goes to the bullpen in the fifth inning. Same with Game 3. Tomlin does just enough. Coco Crisp, who has been horrible against left-handed pitchers all season, finds a way to hit a home run, and the bullpen, despite a few tense moments at the end, found a way to get it done.
Justin, I'm concerned. I don't feel like you understand what really happened last night, because I was watching television and reading the papers today, and Big Papi played his final game, and Cleveland happened to win a baseball game. Is it annoying being like an Indians guy and following Cleveland so closely, and still the media overshadows a sweep with the Big Papi retirement tour?
Yeah, I mean, anywhere you look this morning, and even last night on the broadcast, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were all. I mean, obviously, networks want the best ratings, and the best ratings are going to be from Boston winning or 5-game series. So they were hoping Boston to pull it out. But I mean, anywhere you look this morning, it was more about Ortiz's last stand or his last game, more than the Indians, who haven't had Michael Brantley all year. Might as well not have had Yan Gomes all year, who was a Silver Slugger in 2014. No Carrasco, no Salazar in the playoffs so far, and you got Josh Tomlin, who was ripped from the rotation in August, is only pitching because of all the injuries. Now there's no comeback, no resilient, no underdog stories, but it's all about Ortiz and his last game and being swept out of the playoffs.
With that being said, I
know
like
it didn't happen.
Yeah. With that being said, Justin, with so much being made about Ortiz's feet, I get this, but were you a little shocked they pinch ran for him and he wasn't even in at the end of the game?
No. I think in that situation that was the right call because he was on second base at the time. That would have been the tying run. I think you absolutely have to do it because you got to find a way to tie the game. You can't worry about it's the same adage as relievers. That's why this series was won by Francona because he went to Andrew Miller early in the game, in games 1 and 3, and the same has to be said for pinch running for Ortiz. You cannot worry about his next time up because if he doesn't score, from second base, and he obviously and Marco Hernandez didn't, but if he scores, that's a tying run. You worry about the next at bat. You got to tie up the game when you can, and you're right. Obviously, Marco Hernandez gives you a better chance to score on a base hit than David Ortiz. So that was absolutely the right call.
Justin Lada is our Cleveland insider. He works for the Lake County Sentinel, burning over baseball. You can follow him on Twitter at JL_baseball right here on 104.5 The Team.
Justin, it feels like the Indians are the most underappreciated team left in the playoffs. The Nationals have a bright star in Harper. The Dodgers have Kershaw. The Giants have Madison Bumgarner. What's it going to take for the Indians to finally get what maybe they deserve, and that's that credit nationally?
I really don't know, honestly. I mean, you thought maybe freaking Boston would be like, wow, here's this team of guys that are hurt, their biggest, outside of Francisco Lindor, I mean, that's pretty much the only guy. People know Mike Napoli from other cities, and, I don't think a lot of people realize he set a career high in home runs in games played this year. But outside of Lindor, and they don't even know what Napoli did this year, I think Corey Kluber's kind of a known commodity. But the funny thing is, before the season, and even through July after that 14-game winning streak, the Indians were obviously a sexy pick to make it to the World Series because of that pitching. And then when that pitching went away, it was almost like, well, they're done, so forget them. They'll get in the playoffs, get destroyed in 3 games. We don't got to worry about talking about them, and they're still here. So I would guess at this point, until they win the whole thing, unless there's a miracle where Danny Salazar comes back or Carrasco comes back, I would say that they're not going to get any kind of respect until they win the whole thing.
Let's preview this ALCS matchup with the Toronto Blue Jays. What gives Cleveland the best chance to win and get to the World Series?
Well, it's going to depend on how many times Corey Kluber can pitch, number one. I don't know who their fourth starter is going to be because they're pretty optimistic, somewhat hopeful. I'm not sure where the range is on that, but Danny Salazar will get a chance to come back and pitch out of the bullpen, but I would guess at the absolute maximum he can go 40 pitches, and he's probably not going to pitch 2 days in a row on any account. So it's probably leveraging Corey Kluber. If you get 3 starts out of him, he's never pitched on short rest before, so you never know. Same with Trevor Bauer. So it's going to be the starting pitching. Toronto's starting pitching is really good. J.A. Happ was really good this year. Marco Estrada was really good against Texas in all season. Obviously, Aaron Sanchez is filthy. They're both. I guess their lineup's a little bit. There's some more soft spots than there was against Boston. So it'll probably be more of the same. You just got to limit the damage. You can't allow. I mean, if they can stop Toronto from scoring more than 1 run an inning like they did to Boston, and get the bullpen in there at the right spots, they'll be just fine. I don't expect a sweep again, but if Francona keeps pushing the right buttons, I think that gives them the biggest edge. It's Toronto's bullpen is not as good, and I definitely like Francona over any other manager out there.
104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, being joined by Justin Lada from the Lake County Sentinel. Now, Justin, Clint Frazier, he's the young guy, the big commodity the Yankees brought over in the trade for Andrew Miller, and I've been excited to see him. I'm making jokes behind the scene, like I scream out, "Bring on the ginger!" But I'm actually looking at the way Francona's using Andrew Miller, and I feel like we got ripped off.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like they're ripped off because, even look at the Cubs game last night. Joe Madden, who's obviously one of the best managers in baseball, is right there with Terry Francona. He asked Aroldis Chapman to get a 6-out save in a clinching game, and it didn't work. Chapman got 1 out. Andrew Miller got 6 outs twice this series alone, and he did it a total of 6 times, or done it a total of 5 times now since he's been a Cleveland Indian. And obviously you have to have guys like Cody Allen and Brian Shaw and Dan Otero to be able to leverage Miller because you've got guys that can come out after him and get the job done. And if you don't, you got to save Miller for later. I told you guys how I felt about the trade. I said, ask me in November. As much as I hated to see the Indians part with Clint Frazier and that kind of player, that trade is an absolute win. Whether they win the World Series or not, that trade's an absolute win because of how Terry Francona chose to manage him and Andrew Miller's willingness to pitch in any inning. I mean, Clint Frazier might go on to make 5 All-Star teams. I really believe that. But hey, if the Indians can get to the World Series and keep using Miller like this, it might be a win-win for both sides.
Justin, we've had this hot debate for the last few weeks. It involves your Indians. And I know you are a proud Akron graduate, so I'll give you a fill in the blank to make sure you get this right, okay?
Look at him like phrasing the question so that you lean towards him.
The American League Rookie of the Year is blank.
Oh, no, I got to go with Michael Fulmer. I have to go with Michael Fulmer full season.
You're still wrong. You're still wrong.
Oh, you know what? I mean, Gary Sanchez brought the Yankees back on his own, basically. But, man, Michael Fulmer did it a lot longer. It's hard. 20 home runs. And what did Gary Sanchez play? 50, 55 games?
Yeah.
I know, he was on pace to hit, 180 home runs. No big deal. I don't know. It's just hard for me to not give it to a guy who was so close to qualifying for the ERA title and who was there, 90% of the year. I think it's hard to. If you would have asked me a couple weeks ago, I think I said it on Twitter. I said I don't know how you can vote against Gary Sanchez, but I think time it proves a little more, unfortunately.
I liked you a couple weeks ago better, Justin.
Well, I'll see you guys next year. Thanks for having me on.
But Justin, speaking of everything you do, like we were running through your credentials. Lake County Sentinel, burning over baseball, here, there, Twitter @JL_baseball. Any truth to the rumor that you're going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns this week?
No, I haven't gotten that phone call yet, but I'm working out. I'm getting ready. I haven't hit the gym the last couple of days. I definitely lost some weight over being stressed out over this playoff series. I can tell you that. So I'm in better shape than Jared Lorenzen if they want to call me.
Well, it's either going to be you or Andrew Miller at this point, right? Every time a guy drops back to pass for Cleveland, he gets blown up.
Yeah, hey, if they want to, I don't think there's any way anybody's lending them Andrew Miller. Absolutely not.
So what is the vibe in Cleveland? I mean, obviously you guys know you can win now. You did it with LeBron James and the Cavs. The Indians are as good as anybody right now. So is there any faction of Cleveland that's looking at the Browns going, why not?
No, absolutely not. I think right now everyone's hoping they don't go 0-16. Although some people want them to go 0-16, they want the first overall pick. And personally, I think the Browns will find a way to screw it up. They'll somehow walk into 2 or 3 wins and wind up with the second pick instead of the first, and somebody will trade ahead of them for Lamar Jackson or something else, or they'll pass on next year's Carson Wentz. That's how I view the Browns. I think that most people are either just hoping that they stop making them so sad, or maybe they can hope for one quarterback to make it through a whole game next week.
Justin Lada, he is our man in Cleveland. You can catch him on Burning Over Baseball. You can check him out, Lake County Sentinel, among other things. But, Justin, we appreciate you. And since we've all decided here in the Cap region, now that Boston's out, we hate Toronto the most. We're all Cleveland fans right now.
Hey, man, Toronto's got some good fans. They're going to be in town, so don't count them out. I don't know. I don't hate Toronto, but I know you guys feel different in the AL East. But they're going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of Toronto fans in Cleveland. It's going to be interesting to see.
All right, man. Well, best of luck to your Indians.
Thanks.